Good morning, everyone. Yes, this is Sadie Uribe over here, your Los Angeles Regional Small Business Media Producer. We're giving a special shout out to Lauren, who I am filling in for today. And for the excuse me, I had a little bit too much caffeine this morning. The SBDC is a national program with over 1,000 locations across the country, helping to stimulate economic growth through business advising and development. We offer no-cost services to the local businesses through funding provided by the U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA, and from the California Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, GoBiz. The Los Angeles Regional Small Business Development Center network serves small businesses throughout Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. And we offer no-cost business advising, meaning you can meet one-on-one via phone or Zoom to address your specific needs and challenges. And we also offer virtual training, such as this awesome workshop to help and adapt and grow your business. So on that note, good morning, Lori. How are you?
I am doing great. And how are you? It's always good to hear from you and have you fill in for Lauren. I just let everybody know in the chat Lauren's fine. She has the day off today. Everybody knows she's had some different things with her throat and her voice. So I didn't want anybody to think Lauren's sick. Nope, she just
No,
has.
no, it's spring break. It's spring break. The sun is out shining. As you can tell, I'm just like full of energy where I was like having my own little tongue twisters there. But as we said, we have our little prep minis. This is live, and this is what makes the show so awesome. So folks, the chat is enabled. Good morning. How are you? Lori loves action in this, show. So let's, be active. See, there we go. Yes, Brenda. Good morning. Right? Let's be
There's all my
enthusiastic.
frequent flyers, as I call them, Sadie. And I guess to those people who know it's spring break, you're like, oh my God, when are the kids going back to school already? Right. I
We
always
love
forget,
them.
my cat does not go on spring break. So I always forget it's spring break.
But she
Okay.
has a backpack.
She does have a backpack. In fact, I am recently trying to repair her carrier for the bike. It keeps, like collapsing. So I have, oh my God, guys, I got this new project. I am making a customized carrier for, long distance hiking for my cat. I will let you know how it goes, but I bought all these materials and I bought the metal rods and oh, I just don't even know what I'm doing. And it's either going to be the best thing I ever created for her, but I think about the number of hours I spend creating things for my cat, but that's okay because I just love her to death.
That's
Oh,
another show.
that's another show. I know one of these days I'm just going to have all the pictures of all her meeting animals and everything, and you guys will just crack up. But for today, let's get started. I've got the April webinars. I've got the legal structure and the tax advantages coming up this Thursday. I think that's the 4th on Thursday. I'm doing that every month now because there is just so much confusion about these legal structures, especially people thinking that there is a tax difference between an LLC and a sole prop. Give you a little insight, there is not. So jump in on that webinar. Feel free to reach out to me. Sadie will also get your emails and make sure Lauren gets it to get a comment to me or an appointment with me if you need. So it's the usual. Sadie's here, but she's got all the tools and all the methods. Starting my financial literacy series. Once again, session 2 and session 3, important information about how to manage your company. Upcoming shows, I got a whole lot of really cool things coming on. Next week, Kay, she's gonna have to correct me on the name and how if I said it correctly, but she has a catering company. And so we're gonna learn about the inspiration and all the type of businesses and individuals she supports with her catering company. Now, Ted Milner, Ted, if you're listening, this is kind of something that I have to laugh at. Ted was really kind. He's listened to the Small Biz Talk many times. He sent an email to Lauren saying what a great show it was. And I grabbed him right away and said, great, I want you to be a guest on my show. So that's it. You write a nice comment, I strangle you until you become a guest. But I'm really excited to have Ted on the show. He runs Executive Temps, and it's a staffing company specific to the Hollywood industry. And there's just so much to ask questions about. I'm just going to have a heyday with that one. And then on April 24th, Alea Harris she's an inspirational speaker and podcaster. And she is one of the most fascinating people I've met in a long time. And I've only had about a 15-minute conversation with her. And I cannot wait to hear all about her story because I'm not even going to give you a preview. I'm going to let her tell it. It's pretty interesting. So on my important info, look at, I usually have these slides with all these words on it. All I got is tax deadline approaching, guys. I want to kind of mention something that I'm getting a lot of calls about. So first of all, I want to explain one thing. If you file an extension, you're not prepared to do your tax return and by the deadline, and a lot of times what happens is tax preparers will file extensions on behalf of their clients because they just can't get to all of them by the deadline. I want to let you know that that does not mean that you will not owe the money by the deadline if you owe money. It is just an extension to file the documents. So if you don't pay by the deadline and you owe money, it's still subject to penalty and all of the requirements that it would have. A lot of times people think the extension is an extension to pay, but it's not. It's just an extension to file. Now, another situation I'm getting a lot of calls about is people kind of I'm going to use the word panic because that's really what I'm experiencing. If they're in a panic. And the situation is that they did not find a tax preparer. The deadline's coming. A lot of people are new to being a LLC, and so they don't have their data together. They don't know what they need. And so in that, they're needing some help and they can't get a tax preparer that has a open schedule to get on their list because they're just all booked up at this time. So although I am not saying that I would suggest this as a long-term strategy, I'm going to repeat that. I am not suggesting this as a long-term strategy, okay? What I'm telling people, and this is just my opinion, one workaround for this year might be to go to one of the franchise companies, like I'm going to say H&R Block, because that's a familiar one. You're knowing the name. I'm not supporting H&R Block in any way. I'm not being asked to mention their name. I'm just saying this is an example. Now, why am I saying this? Because in H&R Block, although they may not be creative and look into all your options, what they do is they follow standard protocol. They've been in the business a long time. You know that if you go to an H&R Block, chances are they're going to do it right. And if they don't, they stand behind it. If they make a mistake, they stand behind it. And I think they even represent you if they have to. You have to read their fine print. I just know this from past history. But another thing about H&R Block is they are so accustomed to having last minute people come to them that they have the flexibility to expand their staff accordingly, right? Whereas you go to a individual tax preparer or a small firm, they just maybe cannot fit you and they can't do anything about it. But at least the H&R Block has enough resources, I would say, to be able to expand and fit you in. And many times, depending on where you're at, you can physically go in and sit down with somebody. So if you just got to get through this year, that is a good resource. And I prefer them, my personal opinion, I prefer them over like a TurboTax because TurboTax is in the business of being a software program, right? And so with you, H&R Block, they've been in the business of doing tax returns for eons. I don't even know how long. So if you're in the middle of I'm panicking, I have no one to help me, I can't find anybody, and I don't have the time to properly research somebody, it would be better to possibly go to someone like that of a franchise. Then invest the time after tax season to really research and get good referrals. And next week, maybe I'll talk about what you can do to interview tax people to find a good tax person, because it is so important. So this is kind of a quick getting by just to be able to kind of, take the time and interview somebody properly next time. So that's my little bit of a words of wisdom and advice on what to do if you find yourself in that situation. Okay, guys, so that brings me to today's show, which I am very, very excited about. I'm excited to have this conversation. Empress Ayr was diagnosed with chronic atopic dermatitis at age 5. An unexpected resurgence of eczema post-motherhood led her into the realm of holistic healing after a health scare in 2018 revealed the toxicity within. This led to a personal pursuit of self-preservation and holistic healing. From this experience, she created luxurious peace, a haven for those seeking organic solutions for skin and overall wellness. Now, those of you who have heard me speak today or say on the show, you kind of get this feeling I'm kind of into holistic and organic. So with that, Empress, I am so excited to have you on the show today because this is one of my favorite topics. Welcome, welcome, Empress.
Hi, thank you for having me, Lori.
Oh, it's so good to have you here. And Sadie and I were just saying before the show what beautiful skin you have. So you
I
are a
appreciate
product of your products. Can I say that way?
it. Absolutely, you sure can.
But I'm really interested in the story that I started to share with the audience because so many times in my experience, when people create a product or a company out of an experience they have, it's a game changer. They really are making it out of a knowing and a knowing of what's happening and what is a better way of going about it, if you will, right? It's more than I just got an idea. I have a personal experience that's very, very true to me, and I tried to find a solution. So walk us through what you learned as you were trying to, if I can use the word correctly, detoxify yourself.
Okay. Well, I learned that I was completely uncomfortable. My peace had been disrupted, just like everyone else's peace was disrupted. I guess you could say during the pandemic, but my peace had been disrupted since I was 5 years old, and I didn't even know it. So I began my quest for holistic healing very early on with the help of my grandmothers. One of my grandmothers, she was a nurse, so healing was just innately passed down to me. And then my other grandmother, she kept a stock of encyclopedias and home remedy books. So as a child, I was just so intrigued by those home remedy books. And I tried to mimic and duplicate everything that I read. So I learned how to make products at a very young age. And I've been on a quest since then. I'm still learning to this day. So,
That's a beautiful story. I got a book about this thick, and it's once again one of the holistic healing books, the home
mhm,
remedies, and I'm
yep,
always looking into that. I just, growing up on a farm, I think that they're better. I just do. I
absolutely.
just think they're better. So, what, as just a little bit of a intro for our audience, and take it wherever you see. This is a statement I'm making, and you go from there, Empress. What
Mhm,
I kind of believe and I found within my life is we don't really understand the amount of toxic chemicals we're exposed to in our daily living. We use products, we use things, we use skincare. We
mhm,
think they're good. They're bigger corporations. They've been around forever, but we really don't know until somebody actually digs through what are in these, what are some of the things we're exposed to, and how they affect the body. So we're
right.
going to get into your products, but let's first get into what is it that we need to be aware of and the reason why these products and people like yourself who are coming out with these type of products are such an important part of our society today.
Well, I think that as a society, we need to be aware of what we're putting in our body and on our skin. Our skin is our largest organ. It's responsible for so many different functions. And I think that as Americans, we've just kind of gotten spoiled with having products at our leisure. The average American woman uses over 200 chemicals on her body daily. That's from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. If you think about your morning routine, uh, you know, washing your body, doing your hair, putting on your makeup, and then you have to do your nighttime routine. We're exposed to so many chemicals, and sadly, the FDA doesn't seem to care too much.
No.
There's over 1,500 chemicals that are in our daily products that are not approved in the European Union, that are approved in the United States. So for me, since this brand was born out of a personal situation, um, I had to make sure that I educated my customer along the journey.
Right.
Oftentimes we buy products and we use them and we don't know why our skin is itching, breaking out, or burning, but we still continue to
Mhm.
buy the product because of what the company says it does. And I want my customers to know what our products do. So I think that when I created Luxurious Peace, I did it intentionally. I'm learning myself. So at the end of the day, I want my customers to learn with me, go on this journey with me. I'm still in the process of healing. So when I hear you say, like, your skin is beautiful, Empress, it didn't always look like this. In 2018, I suffered through a health scare called topical steroid withdrawal. It's an adverse side effect of using prescription medication, prescription steroid creams. I didn't realize that over 84.5 million people are being affected worldwide by some type of autoimmune skin disorder. And why is this happening? Because of the foods that we're eating and the products that we're using and the things that we're ingesting daily.
Yeah, I fully believe that. Growing up on the farm, I remember my mother, talking one time, and we were in the garden, with all the vegetables we were growing. And I was saying about how we were really chemical free. And she said, well, what do you think about the farm when they're in the air spraying chemicals on their crops? You think it doesn't come over into our yard? And I remember
Right.
that being a rude awakening for me, because here I'm thinking we're so podunk in the country, we're completely void of chemicals. And she was quick to point out we can't be completely. And that's when I understood we can't be completely, but we can do our best, our damnest, if I can say that on the show, to limit our exposure with the choices that we make. And I do believe that it's my personal belief that diseases really are due to our, environment, what we put in, as much as our mind, our mindset, as much as the things that we put on our body. Now,
Right.
what are you seeing? Because you've been at this for a while, Empress. I have my own opinion, but what are you seeing in trends of the type of people that are attracted towards your products, or the difference maybe over in the last several years of the interest in these more pure organic products? What are you seeing about the marketplace responding?
I'm seeing people that are seeking holistic skincare solutions, especially those with sensitive or hyperreactive skin. That's why our products basically cater to people who prioritize natural and plant-based ingredients and are conscious of what they put on their skin. So I think that trend is starting to change. People are starting to put sustainability at the forefront. I think the pandemic kind of forced all of us to just be still and listen to our bodies and see what we needed and what we didn't need, because there was so much excess. When all these stores were closed, we didn't have access to the little luxuries in life. And bathing is something that I assume most of us do daily. So, um, for us, I wanted to create offerings that resonated with people who practice self-care rituals and seek products that promote overall well-being. So I think that the market is changing and it's shifting in that direction because people are now cognizant and aware of what their bodies need, not necessarily what they want.
Yeah, I agree. And I had a person on this show. It's been probably over a year, but it's Holly that has Madame Lemmy, which is a natural deodorant, right? And when she first started, there wasn't as much of a calling for it, and she started using it or creating it because a friend of her got cancer, and they
Mm.
said possibly from all the chemicals within the deodorant. I'm not to say it is or is not, but that's where she started. But she's noticed over the years there's an increasing desire to seek out organic products. And I also, and this is my big hurrah for small businesses, I think there's an increasing desire to do business with small companies and get to know who is the person behind the product, who is Empress, how did the company come about, what was the inspiration. So let's go back to I'm going to call it this and you take it from there, but the mixing bowls you probably had in your kitchen when you first, yeah, she's laughing. So how, you knew you wanted to come up with something. We love on this show to hear about the beginning messes that you had to create. What was
Yeah.
what was the process? Did you just start, buying different products, making mixing bowls, trying it on friend, family, and fools? How did you get that going?
Okay, so our very first product was actually our piece protector. Everything has an ode to peace or luxurious peace because we're all about helping you protect your peace. So our peace protector, it was our healing butter. So it was our natural version of Tiger Balm. I
Okay.
created it first with THC. And I found that it gave me so much relief with my sciatica that I developed in 2018. I couldn't walk for about 2 weeks when I got sick with this steroid withdrawal. And I'm like, okay, I know how to make butter. Let me see if I could try to, pivot this and create it into something that could soothe my joints and my muscle pain. So I created this healing butter, and my grandmother was like, let me try it because I have arthritis. She loved it. So then it turned into, just giving it to other friends and family members. So I said, okay, I got to do something with this. So I reached out to a manufacturer to see if they could convert it from THC to CBD. And then the next thing you know, I'm in dispensaries throughout LA with our Peace Protector Healing Butter.
Okay.
And then that just kind of transitioned into Bath and Body Care products.
Gotcha. So what was the next product that you created?
The next product I created was our sea moss soap. This was my first product, the one you see in the picture right here. Our sea moss soap. It was our unscented sea moss soap. Sea moss is a red algae that's found in the Caribbean. I was already taking it orally, and it was just too cumbersome to keep making and putting it in my refrigerator, and then it spoils after, a few weeks. It's basically a plant-based or vegan collagen is what I like to call it, the vegan collagen of the sea. It contains 92 out of 102 minerals. So when I was taking this sea moss, I started to see that my iron levels started to increase. My potassium levels were even. I've been working with a naturopathic doctor since my health scare in 2018, 2 of them. So I've been researching, what's going on inside of my body. So nonetheless, I created this soap, this sea moss soap, because I was just tired of eating it all the time. So I'm like, let me see if I can make a soap out of it. It took me about 1.5 years to get the formula down. And so I said, you know what? People who have skin disorders or skin sensitivities, they have so much discomfort and so much dry skin that can accumulate. I said, why don't I take the sea moss and put it in its raw form so that people can use it as a natural exfoliant? So from there, I was already in the stores with the dispensaries, with the healing butter product. And it was just natural to include a CBD soap. So one of the dispensaries, they gifted me some CBD, and it took off from there. Then it turned into our CBD bath salts, which we have. Most of our products are always in an amber jar. Again, sustainability. We're keeping UV rays out of our products. Right. Then it turned into now we have 6 SKUs of sea moss soaps. 4 of them contain essential oils. We have, what do we have? We have dry skin butter. That's what we like to call it. It hasn't been released on our online website, but you can get it in person at our in-person events. And it has just taken off like a rocket.
So while you're talking, hey, Sadie, can you
sorry.
pull up her web? No, I want you to keep going. Sadie, pull up her website. Let's see the beauty of these products. Keep going, Empress. Sadie's going to give us pictures. Keep going. Keep talking.
We have our sugar scrubs. We have our salt scrub. I don't know if you can see that too well, but this is our inflammation salt scrub that we have here. Okay. This one is a scrub that was designed for people who suffer from chronic inflammation. So all of our soaps, they basically have a story. Each product that we have has a story. So this is the unscented bar for pets and babies. So pets also suffer from dermatitis. Yeah, pets suffer from dermatitis. 2% of our customers use this product for their cats and dogs who suffer from dry dander. We have our eucalyptus, here we go, our eucalyptus mint and tea tree. This is for fungus. So people who suffer from a lot of bacteria infections, people who suffer from staph, they want a natural way to get rid of bacteria, athlete's foot. They usually use our eucalyptus. Our lavender is for fine lines and wrinkles. It features a purple French Brazilian clay that helps to tighten the skin. And then our turmeric, which is our favorite, our turmeric black pepper, again, for inflammation and hyperpigmentation and dark spots. So everything is to treat an ailment.
Turmeric is, I got your website real quick. I just want everybody to see some of these, how beautiful they are. Turmeric is one of those wonderful things that I just don't like the taste of it. So being able to have it in a soap versus, I try drinking it, I try cooking with it. It's just not a taste that I can get a love for by no means. But here's a beautiful, beautiful website. It's like everything that you have done, from your products to your advertising to your website, has been done with just great beauty. I really have to say that. One of the things I was thinking as you were talking about the pets and the dogs. Oh, and you have luxurious candles as well. Yes. Beautiful.
Allergen-friendly candles for all of the people who suffer from allergies like myself. I can't use anything with fragrance. So our candles are allergen-friendly and they're vegan.
And you know what I wonder is when I love essential oils and I make my own cleaners. I'm
Mhm,
fanatical on this too, Empress. We talked about that. I won't even bring cleaners in, right? I make my own.
mhm.
And so I always take and I put the essential oils in, which makes it wonderful. I have this feeling, and maybe you know the answer, there's something between the fragrances that the companies use and essential oils. There's something in fragrance. When they use the word fragrance, it's not pure organic essential oils. There's something in these fragranced formulas that isn't good for us, isn't there?
Well, when you hear the word fragrance, it's a synthetic. Fragrances are
Oh.
real. Essential oils are extracted directly from the plant.
See, that's what I was thinking because see what we hear the word fragrance and I got this feeling like I didn't know what you just told me. Now that you said
Mhm.
synthetic, it makes sense. But I understood somehow that fragrance was not these wonderful essential oils in just a smaller part of it. It's a synthetic, and they're so
Yep,
everything we buy with fragrances, we're putting synthetics on our skin, aren't we?
absolutely. And we don't even know it, but we smell good, you know.
Yeah.
But our skin looks bad or we're breaking out, you know. Don't get me wrong, they do have natural fragrances out there. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get anything any realer than an oil that's extracted directly from a plant.
And
Um,
yeah, and you know what's interesting, speaking of pets, I've seen that more animals have allergies as well.
mhm,
So it's not just
yep,
us humans, it's our
absolutely.
lovely pets that Babu's on all natural as well. Of course,
That's
my
right.
cat, yeah, she has to be on
Uh-huh.
all natural. Oh, here's an interesting question. In your target market, do you have men buy your products? Do men buy much of your product? Let's talk about the males in the audience.
Yeah, the men actually do. The men love the salt scrub, the sea moss salt soak.
Okay.
They like to take baths with it and exfoliate their skin with it. I think the men gravitate towards the what is that one that I just showed you? The eucalyptus mint and tea tree soap because it's great for fungus. So a lot of men usually tend to go there. And then I noticed that a lot of them, they love our shampoo bars. Our shampoo bars are made with neem and jojoba oil, and they are a 2-in-1 product. So a lot of men find, products that have multi-use to be a lifesaver for them. So yeah, shout
Okay.
out to men.
Okay, there we go. And Cindy had a question as that how is the topical application work the same as the ingested application? And then she didn't say anything about a specific product. So we can ask an additional question to Cindy if we need to answer that. But she just wants
Yeah.
to know how is the topical different from the ingested?
Does she mean the sea moss? How
Yeah,
does it differ when you eat it internally or use it
I
externally? Is
bet you,
that what
yes,
you're
the
referring to?
sea moss. Cindy responded. Yep,
Uh,
it's the sea moss. So talk about the difference in the sea moss ingested versus topical.
well, when you take something orally, you typically are distributing the product internally first, and then it secretes out of your glands externally. So it's just like, you taking a lemon and you eating the lemon versus you rubbing the lemon on your skin. If you're using it on your skin, it functions differently. It's an astringent, right? But when you're eating it, it works as a antibiotic. It's antifungal, antimicrobial, that can also work too on your skin. So oftentimes people like to use products or sea moss internally because it helps them with their internal issues, internal organ issues, whether it's, again, like I had mentioned before, you have an iron deficiency, you have a magnesium deficiency. Most people in this world are magnesium deficient. People's cortisol levels are, kind of wonky up and down. So sea moss can help with that. But because our skin is our largest organ, it helps to penetrate just as well. If you were to eat it, you pretty much get the same effect if you use it topically.
Yeah, we don't give enough respect to our skin in the mindset of, first of all, like you said, it's our largest organ. We don't see it that way, but also how much things can penetrate into our body through our skin. Our
Mhm.
skin, we really, I think that, we have to be more conscious of the barrier our skin has and how much it really is exposed to things and to treat it with a little bit more kindness and respect.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the skin. I'm doing a shout
That's
out to
right.
the skin.
That's
So
right.
going back as I could just ask questions all day about the products because I'm just so intrigued. Oh, I got to say one more thing before we leave products. I think we
Mhm.
talked about this. I had somebody tell me about a great, just natural thing to put on the skin. And I think I talked to you about this. I was like, what? Really? And
Mhm.
like, go on YouTube, Lori, go on YouTube. Okay, I'll tell you what it is in a minute. Right. So I go on YouTube and I was like, they're right. So
Yep.
I bought it and started putting it on my skin, and it's castor oil.
Yep. And I want to say you look amazing, by the way. I feel like you're aging backwards. I don't know if it's due to the castor oil. Your skin just looks so beautiful, clear, even. Your hair is thick. I have on castor oil right now. It's like my holy grail. So it's in all of my products.
So, the castor oil has been really incredible because I've been in Arizona of late, and you just step in the state and you get dry skin no matter what, right? But
Mhm.
I am really fanatical about my products, and I think it's interesting something you mentioned about the fact that the FDA is allowing things that is not allowed over in Europe. Well,
Mhm.
interestingly, I buy a lot of my products from Europe because
Mm,
they're,
thank
you know what? They're natural. They use a lot of holistic stuff. They're not got all the chemicals in. So I have found that, I do use a lot of the stuff from Europe. Oh, we
you.
got Christine asking what product is best for a man who has an issue with getting a lot of ingrown hairs on the face? The tea tree eucalyptus?
Tea tree eucalyptus soap or the turmeric and black pepper. The tea tree and eucalyptus could possibly irritate because there is menthol in the soap. So if he does have a lot of ingrown hairs and he's picking at them and he has boils, it could potentially irritate him, but he should be fine. So with either the tea tree or the turmeric.
Speaking of turmeric, that's one of those things that I did not realize how beneficial turmeric is until I
Mhm.
recently checked into, especially with inflammation. And we
Mhm.
might we don't have inflammation, but a lot of us have a little bit of inflammation from life in general. So
Mhm.
let's some people may not be familiar with turmeric because I was not. Let's speak to what is turmeric and why is it so good for us?
Turmeric is an amazing spice, and it's just great for, again, like you said, for inflammation. But the thing about turmeric is that turmeric has to be activated. You can't just eat turmeric by itself. It has to have some type of fatty acid like black pepper or some type of oil, whether it is a vegetable oil, olive oil, grapeseed oil. It has to be activated by, like I said, some type of fatty acid in order for it to function properly in your body. Now, oftentimes, a lot of people who are minorities, we get hyperpigmentation. Oftentimes you see it here on the cheeks, around the eyes, dark circles under the eyes. Turmeric is great at lightening and brightening those areas. For people who have melasma after pregnancy, turmeric is perfect for that as well. So it's a natural spice that can help counteract the imbalances that are in our skin and inside of our bodies.
Interesting. And now you explained why I always noticed they mix turmeric and pepper. And I thought, why is
Absolutely.
every product have turmeric and pepper, the drinks and everything? Now I
To
understand.
activate it. Yep. Turmeric
Huh?
by itself is, just a seasoning. I guess you could say it's spice. But once you activate it, it just opens completely up.
Yeah. I had somebody telling me a lot about it, because I get a lot of inflammation just from having been a hardcore athlete my whole life, lots of,
Mhm.
injuries and stuff.
Mhm.
And so they said turmeric is just wonderful. And at the time, I didn't even know what turmeric was.
Right.
Now, like I said, I can go on and on about products, but let's talk about Empress, the entrepreneur. So
Mhm.
you come up with this idea, you still had to step out. You still are stepping out. And
Mhm.
the audience loves to hear about kind of what you're going through to getting your products in different places, choosing marketing, your social media, kind of the experiences you're having, what works and what hasn't worked and what you're still playing with. What is it like a day in the life as you have these fabulous products, but your goal is to get the world to know about them and as much exposure as possible. So chat with us a little bit about what you're doing to increase your marketing exposure and what you're experiencing in those efforts.
Well, to increase my marketing exposure, I try to be active on social media. I realized early on that social media is not my wheelhouse. I never even had a Facebook page until I started my brand. It was funny because Luxurious Peace actually started off as a blog. It was just a way for me to kind of vent my frustrations with the pharmaceutical industry and the adverse reactions that I was having with my body due to many years of being essentially a prescription drug addict. And I didn't even know it. So from there, from the blog, I started to develop a community of followers and of people who were going through similar things. And then from there, I started working with a nonprofit organization called ITSAN, which is the International Topical Steroid Awareness Network. And they just introduced me to a world of people who were going through the same struggle that I was going through. And then it just kind of catapulted and just turned into a company. You know, all I was trying to do was just give my body something that I could use to feel normal. You know, I didn't realize that, you know, my organs were shutting down. I had 2 kids. I felt like I was going to die. I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't see anybody experience anything like what I went through. So I think, you know, like I said, at infancy, when I started the brand, it was just more so a therapy for me to reach out to people. And then the therapy continued with creating the products. I enrolled in formulation school and in herbalism classes. And I just wanted to learn more. I'm on the quest for knowledge. And I don't recommend that if you're a business owner or if you want to become a business owner, you have to continue to learn. You know, if you don't want to learn, then this is not for you. Just go back to your regular 9 to 5 and do what you need to do. But for me, like I said, I was on a journey. I was on a quest for knowledge, quest for wanting more from myself. And in turn, that made me want more for others. I think I did move into the retail space a little too quickly with our CBD products. So since then, I have completely scaled that back. But, you know, I'm trying to pivot and go in a different direction that you typically don't see beauty entrepreneurs go into. But for me right now, it's all about the advocacy. You know, I have to do the work. I have to be an advocate for people who are marginalized. This is a market where, you know, it's a market where people don't necessarily feel accepted and appreciated. You know, this is a niche market that I'm working with. So sometimes it can be very difficult, you know, to get the message of what I am trying to do. But people who get it. Like you know, you're somebody who takes your life seriously, and so do I. So that's why, you know, our relationship.
And Empress, it probably is. And, you know, I will pay more for natural things because I look at it, not only do I feel better, and that's really important to me, but it keeps me from paying expensive medical bills. I feel that very strongly, right? But
Yeah.
it's a lot of people might look at the products and say, well, this is more expensive than the soap I can buy in the store. So talk to us about, how do you work with that? Do you look at it, and there's no right or wrong, it's just a conversation, because I know some people in the audience have price points that are higher than competitors, right? So you either say, well, that's just not my target market, and you don't
Right.
promote, or you try to educate her, you know, because I know other people are in a similar position with different products and services. So I'm assuming that you've had to think about that. How do I go about it when people don't respect and understand the reason why things cost more and the value they get? Chat on that for a little bit.
Well, I think my professional experience, I spent 8 years in financial services. I had my own insurance agency. So I faced a lot of rejection, and I fought with people on cost all the time. And I realized that cheap things have no value.
Right.
And, you know, I can't put a price on my health. The price is what it is what it is. I'm not going to argue with anybody about why my prices are the way that they are. This kind of makes me think about the conversation that you and I had a couple of years ago when I was in a program with the SBDC, and you said that just because you're in the store selling, it doesn't mean that you can afford a quart of milk or something like
Yeah,
that.
that is my favorite. And you know, it's so funny. I just love it that you remember that, because it was through our Black Strategies program that I am an
Mhm.
instructor, and I do that quite a bit. And I could kind of remember, but not. But when somebody
Mhm.
remembers words I said and it impacts them, it's so important to me. And yes, people who know me know I say that all the time. But can you afford a quart of milk? And what I'm
Right.
saying is, at the end of the day, no matter how good you're doing in the world, you've got to buy a quart of milk, and you got to make sure
Absolutely.
profit margins are there.
Yeah, you have to know your profit margins. You have to know your cost structure. And that
Yeah.
was something that I did not know early on. And that's something that I wish I knew early on. Because if your cost structure isn't in place, people won't work with you, you know? Um, for small businesses that are eager to know like their profit margins and their cost structure, there's some steps that you have to take first. You need to know what your annual, monthly, daily sales are, and you have to keep a close eye on your margins, and you have to understand your business's financial health. So I feel like that's something that I'm always learning, as we grow with Luxurious Peace, as we expand and introduce more products into the market. Those are things that I do have to be cognizant of as a business owner.
You know, my heart warms hearing you speak, because the cost structure, financial health, these are my words. So I know you're picking up my
Mm-hmm.
words. Lately, I've been working with a lot of companies that have been around for some time and never knew their margins, and they've been losing money and borrowed it, and they're in a really bad state. And I'm having to go back and have them know that they're not selling at a high enough price. And that's such a hard thing to do when you're down the road and you have all these loans. So when you learn that ahead of time, it's such a great advantage to do
Mm-hmm.
so. Now, one of the things I want to come back, because I just know there's a little lesson in there for our audience. You mentioned you moved into the retail space too soon. Now, I find that a lot of times people do move into the retail space too soon, and they learn that later, many different reasons as to why. Can you just give us any insight of what you learned about what perhaps in hindsight, maybe you should have considered before you moved into the retail space, so others that are
Yeah.
looking at that can learn from that as well?
Well, I have handmade products and I just couldn't keep up with the demand.
Yeah.
So, again, going back to profit margins and cost structures, it was really expensive for me to create these CBD products because, I'm using more than you typically see. Most companies
Right.
have a CBD product, a solve that usually has about 300 milligrams. I'm doing 600 milligrams, instead of using a tincture, I'm using an isolate. There's so many different
Yeah.
variances and nuances that come along with going into the retail structure. Don't get me wrong, wholesale is great, but if you can't keep up with creating that product, then you're doomed. And like I said, I did find a manufacturer, but it was just expensive to produce all the time. So
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
and I see that. You know, I see people who are bragging about all of their sales because they got a high sales volume, but they can't buy a quart of milk because all
Mhm.
the money is going to outside manufacturers to
Right.
manufacture the product, and they have very little profit. So I see that experience quite a bit. You know, another thing that you and I had a conversation about, and I think I'm remembering this correctly, but you're in many different organizations and associations that allow you to learn and have mentors. And what I was real impressed that you were also making sure that you understood all the disciplines within a company. You're learning finance, you're learning marketing, you're learning the legal things. You're in these groups that you're exposed to all the different avenues that a company is engaged in. And I find too many small companies focus just on marketing and nothing else.
Mhm.
So talk
Mhm.
about what you are doing to continuously learn. What have you experienced? What has benefited you? Because I think you're dead on when you talk about the need for entrepreneurs to be a lifetime student.
Absolutely, you have to be. Well, as a solopreneur, I wear many hats. I'm the
Yeah.
founder and the CEO. I'm product development. I'm marketing and sales. I'm customer service.
Yeah.
I'm operations and logistics. I'm financing and accounting. Research and development, website management, quality control, strategic planning. I feel like every single thing that I have done in my life has prepared me for where I am now. You know, you have to crawl before you walk. So for me, it was important. One thing that I did realize that was consistent across every single professional career that I've had was community. Community is something that I have to put at the forefront. Community is the reason why my brand is here, why it exists today. Like I told you, I started off as a blog and created a community of people who were going through a similar situation as mine. So early on, you know, in my financial services career, I had to hustle to get my customers. I'm going door to door, word of mouth. I'm joining chamber of commerces. You know, you know, in finance and in legal, you have to do your CEs. You know, your continuing education. It
I
doesn't
don't
stop.
even every year at the end of the year, I'm trying to get them all done. Oh yes,
Right.
yes, I'm painfully aware of the CEs.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. So it was important for me to join organizations like the SBDC. So shout out to the SBDC because you guys are a no cost company for business owners. It's paid for by our tax dollars, guys. So go to the SBDC. They'll give you consulting, training, and resources to help small businesses plan, market, and thrive. So for me, it was important to join the
Sadie,
SBDC.
we got to get her on a video, okay? Did you just
That's
catch
right.
Sadie? We
I
got
mean, it's a commercial right there. We just need to click
is.
down and we're ready to go.
I know that was really incredible, but you know, it's so true. And what I love about the SBDC is it allows me to work with people like yourself that couldn't have afforded me. You know, government pays me, so you know you have the ability to do that. I want to make sure before we run out of time, there was something else that I just found so fascinating that you told me about the last time we talked, and I'm going to title this as "Every Resource Can Be a Selling or Marketing Opportunity," and you probably know where I'm going with this. Talk about, I'm going to call it what you call it what it is, but I'm going to call it your toxicity booklet, so you know what I'm speaking of. I think this is another fascinating thing that you've done and are considered doing. So you tell the story.
Well, I am publishing my first book. It's called Our Toxictionary. Our Toxictionary, if you are familiar with our brand from inception, it was a list of toxic chemicals that are in our daily essentials that I created on my website. It's no longer there now, but the book is coming out real soon. But it's like your handheld guide to toxic chemicals that are in your daily essentials. So a lot of us don't even realize, like I mentioned before, there's over 1,500 products that are approved by the United States, chemicals that are not approved in Europe. One of them that was really concerning to me that I found in skincare is a chemical called quaternium 15 or Q15.
I've seen that before. I'm
sure most of us have. It's an antimicrobial chemical preservative that can be found in various cosmetic products, products to preserve shelf life. So most of the products that are in store in the United States have Q15 in it. The preservation process changes the molecules to improve the performance of hair and body products. So what ends up happening is Q15 inadvertently releases, I guess it's not even advertently releases formaldehyde. We all know that formaldehyde is dangerous, right? It's a toxicant and it's an allergen and it's highly carcinogenic and it's linked to various health and breathing products. So a lot of these chemicals that we're using, they're affecting our reproductive system, you know, and we don't realize why aren't we as fertile as we used to be anymore? It's because we're using these chemicals that are approved by the FDA. They're saying that they're okay to be in your everyday essentials. And, you know, we're sick and we don't know why.
I don't pick up anything without reading products, and I've gotten I don't consider myself fanatical, but like we talked, I probably am because I don't buy anything that's not organic. I mostly buy my own powders and my own stuff and make my own things now. And you know, I even take care of where I source them. But you know, going back to that shelf life thing, when I mix up my house cleaners, I mix up enough, I use it, and then I mix it. I don't try to buy things that are going to be still the Hostess Twinkie, you know, after the joke of the Hostess Twinkie. Right. She knows what I'm talking about. Somebody younger may not know what I'm talking about, but I think we really have a Hostess Twinkie syndrome of trying to increase the shelf life in food and products, and that's where preservatives and bad chemicals come into. So, you know, I love the concept of you creating the well, how do you call it? Toxinary.
Dictionary.
I see Emma in the chat. Emma's another book writer out there. And what I
Yeah.
want to say to you guys is, I always say, never underestimate the power of your knowledge, because you've got this book coming out. Somebody may buy it just because they want to understand about these chemicals. Then they're exposed to you and your products. And it's
Yeah.
also puts you as a expert in your space, right? And so a lot of times what happens is, when we know what we know, we don't give credit to it, and we don't realize it can be a valuable asset, that it can be a YouTube video for information, or it can be a whole nother marketing thing. I am very aware of this because early in on my career, I, you know, was thinking about it, and I said, well, what do? What do I sell? I sell information. And I was like, no, I sell intellect. And the more I can package intellect, and so that's why I wrote my books, my ebooks for sale, my videos, and it was all marketing as well as additional revenue, because you can package intellect. So this is a shout out to everybody to have more consciousness about what you know that you could possibly use to sell in another fashion, or at least for the marketing. Become the expert in your space.
Absolutely. And I was given this information for free, you know, at first. I was just giving it away. And someone told me one day, they're just like, why are you doing that? Why are you giving up so much free game? You know, you
Yeah,
take
exactly.
the research, you know, you should be compensated for it. And then you sparked something speaking with you before. And I was just like, yeah, you know what? I actually am in the process of publishing this book, but I didn't think that it would be another vehicle, you know, for the expansion of my
I saw
business.
it as asset. You know, right now people are really wanting this information too.
Mhm,
And so I just saw this as an asset. And you know, just like even my ebooks, you know, sign up for an account in Amazon, turn it into an ebook, put it up there through whatever website, you know,
mhm,
platform. Years ago, which I'm talking at least 10, when I created my ebooks in the video, there was not like the Kajavis and everything like now that you could distribute training videos and stuff.
mhm.
So I was a little bit ahead of my time. But now you have so much technology that you're capable of writing some ebook, becoming an expert, and then you can always even put it in free with a product purchase. There's just so much you can do with this. So, you know, we all have this in our knowledge base, and we just don't often consciously understand the value of it until somebody points it out to us. So I'm glad
Yeah,
that might have sparked a few people to understand, you
I
know,
hope so.
some value that they might have for things.
Yeah.
So where do you see the future going? Are you going to be going into new product lines, new books, new avenues of exploring for distribution? What are your thoughts on what you would like to see your brand accomplish?
Well, luxurious peace is one of continued growth and impact. We plan to expand our wholesale and our stockists again. We plan to create like a brick and mortar, a wellness space for
Okay.
people who look towards alternative methods of healing. I am obsessed with cryotherapy and flotation therapy. If you know me,
Oh, I totally checked into that. I was like, oh my God, you're the first person I heard say that. You know, I swear it was 20 years ago. I had a friend of mine that was doing some, you know, trials, and he was going and experiencing that. And he came in, he's like, I didn't even have to sleep last night. I feel so good.
right,
And I still,
right,
I was in my late 20s when he was experimenting with that. And it
yeah.
was coming out. Oh, awesome. Sorry, didn't mean to go on a tangent. You just said
No,
words
you're good.
we hadn't even thought about. That sounds like so much fun.
It is. I mean, 3 minutes of cryotherapy is the equivalent of a 45-minute ice bath.
Hmm.
You know, you have to allow your body to allow the cells to regenerate. They can't just regenerate when you're asleep, right? You know,
Right,
we have
right.
to do other things that are natural, that we can do to heal our body. So, you know, my goal is to open up a brick and mortar where I have those different healing modalities for people who want to give their bodies a chance to heal naturally. I never had the chance. You know, I was
Yeah,
put on steroids early on at 5 years old. You know, my parents were just doing what the doctors told them to do,
right.
not knowing that it was going to affect me in my adult life. So right now I'm trying to give my body that grace and give my body that chance to learn how to heal itself naturally. And I just want to open the doors for others to do the same.
Oh, that's so awesome. I have to tell you, I can't help it because it's just so funny. So speaking of, cold water and the application of cold water and what it does for the skin, which is a common thing that a lot is used in Russia as well, because I had a friend from Russia and they talked about going in these pools. Well, I was down deep in Ecuador on a climbing expedition once, and I went down to this area that was known for these famous bathhouses type places, right? So it's a I didn't read Spanish really well. I didn't know it was on the menu. I just pointed to something and said, it's all good, right? Okay, you can see where it's
Right.
going, right? So they took me and they put me in this wooden box with just my head sticking out, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
they started putting this warm steam in the box. And I'm like going, oh, this is so delightful. I'm all happy. And I'm like, I did the right thing, right? So then they're motioning me, come out of the box, right? And I'm like, okay. And they got everybody, I'm not making this up, guys. They got everybody standing up against a wall and they're saying, stand up against the wall. And I don't understand what they're saying. So I go stand up on a wall. They got what I saw as like a fire hose and it was full of cold water and they hosed us down. Yes. And it's like, and then they got me back and put me in the box. And I asked somebody later, I go, that was awful. They go, what do you mean? That's great for your skin. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that was Ecuador's way of creating a wellness brick and mortar. But
That's
I don't really, I mean, I got it, but I don't think I want to be sprayed down with the fire hose with cold water ever
right.
again.
Right. I think they were just trying to improve the inflammation in your body and boost the collagen. They know that cold water has the ability to do that, extremely cold water. So,
They did.
hey,
And so I had a friend I met down there from Russia, and she's like, honey, this is to die for. What are you talking
yeah.
about? And I go, okay, I just wasn't expecting it. But yeah, there's so many evidence. I just had to tell you that funny story. But
Mm-hmm.
I just feel as though you are just on the first step of a ladder that you can climb in so many different ways. And what I really love about you and your products is I feel like you have a really clear vision of who you are, what you're trying to do, what market you're trying to serve, why you're creating the products. Like you said, you're on a journey and you're on a mission. You're not just about let me create some products that people like. You're really wanting to make a difference to bring peace into people through your products. Would that be a good way to say that?
Absolutely. I mean, ultimately, the goal is to be a driving force in redefining the beauty industry and the beauty standards. So that's why I advocate for clean beauty, sustainable practices, and I inspire people to embrace their unique skincare journey and lead with confidence and self love. That's what we're about.
That's so wonderful. And I was thinking about the other day is that finally I feel that there's entrepreneurs like yourself that are coming out with new products to support people like myself that really care about these things and did
Mhm.
not have a place to purchase things in the past. I'm
Right.
seeing more and more options. Well, we got a minute left. Any last words you'd like to leave with our audience?
Well, for business owners, I want to leave an excerpt from one of my favorite poems. It's
Okay.
called Don't Quit.
Okay.
And in the poem, it says, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, and the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. So don't quit. Don't give up. I'm 4 years
Oh,
in, and I'm still not where I want to be yet, but I'm going to get there. So don't quit.
I have goosebumps. That was so, so beautiful. This has been another wonderful show, just a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for coming on our show. And you're going to be brought back. And once again, Sadie's got all Empress's information. Check out her products, give her some support, give her some love. She's out here. She's doing it, guys. She is definitely doing it. So, Sadie, I'm going to bring you back in to shut us down today. Wasn't that incredible?
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sorry, Lauren, that you missed out, but I'm happy that I got to be here because I say this and it's like, and I'm not saying this just to say this, it's like, these are great because whenever I leave these webinars, I always feel so inspired because I think it's like the humanity and the authenticity. And I think that's what we're talking about. It's like, It's not about, you know, like, hi, they're a billionaire. It's like, no, it's about the small business owner, and we're all doing this, and we all got, like, we're our own little network, and we're motivating, and you know, we can do it, and we've got knowledge, and we're all special, and we're all going to share our talents, and why not make some money while we're at it?
Absolutely. You know, I'm a proponent for the small businesses. I love small businesses. And you know what, guys? We're going to take over the world.
That's right.
We're going to come back, and we are going to do business between ourselves, amongst ourselves, support ourselves, and we are going to be the businesses of the future. That's my vision. That's my vision, to do everything I can to keep the small businesses healthy and growing and be able to really make a difference in the world, because I think that they're what it's all about. So with that, thank you so much. And thank you to our frequent flyers for being on Small Biz Talk and being in the audience, and the chat is going crazy. Take a look at the chat for a second if you can. You're getting a lot of love in there. Take a peek at it so you at least get to see that. You're getting a lot of love from everybody who's just so thoroughly enjoyed you being on the show. And so I got to close it off now. So thank you, frequent flyers. If you were new to the show, thank you for joining me this week. Empress, thank you for being here. And Sadie for filling in with Lauren, who will be back next week. And to everybody, thank you for watching another episode of Small Biz Talk with your host, Lori Williams. I will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.